Julie and Steve, take one.
Like, yes, Bruno Mars 100% is a cultural appropriator. He is racially ambiguous. He is not black at all, and he plays up his racial ambiguity to be able to do what Jameer says, cross genres and go into different places. And you guys are bringing up Michael Jackson. Number one, me personally, like, I don't even think that Michael Jackson now in this day and age will be able to get to the point that he got to previously.
Facts.
And a huge part of that is because people have realized that they prefer their black music and their black culture from a non-black face.
Absolutely.
And you have so.
Hey, mi gente, it's Julie and Steve. You already know my name, but if you're new here, hey, I feel like I keep doing that wrong. Today, we're going to be talking about Bruno Mars and his new single, I Just Might.
Now, 'cause when I take it to the floor, ooh, you gotta get down, you know what to do.
Then, I will discuss what I mean by him evolving as an artist. This video is going to be very constructive criticism. If you do not like to hear constructive criticism about Bruno Mars, you're probably not going to like this video, but it is what it is. I'm going to say what I gotta say, and you're going to hear what I gotta say. Okay, mi gente? Okay, mi gente? Okay. We can start now. Julie and Steve, take two. On January 9th, 2026, Bruno Mars released his first single off of his fourth studio album titled The Romantic. The single is titled I Just Might.
Break my heart, and I find out you can move.
On this record, there are three co-writers alongside him. Him and longtime producer D. Mayo co-produced the record. The single debuted at number 1 on the US Hot 100, which made it be Bruno Mars's 10th number 1 single in the United States. This ties him with Janet Jackson and Stevie Wonder with the most number 1 singles in the United States. A huge accomplishment for Bruno Mars with not much growth in his music. As of this week, the song is number 6 on the US Hot 100, whereas it's number 1 on both the Hot R&B hip hop songs and Hot R&B songs charts. While these are nice feats for Bruno Mars, this is not entirely a flex as there is not much growth in his career. Musically, Bruno Mars has not done much to improve on his sound as an artist. All he does is rely on admiration for black music. And while that's not necessarily a bad thing, it does get repetitive, at least for people like me. As a person who formerly would consider themselves as a semi-fan of Bruno Mars's music, I am not impressed no more. Sure, there were a couple of moments where I felt like this is not that entirely bad, and I someone like this from him, but I haven't felt like an inkling of hearing his music like I did while I was younger, naive, and thought that anyone and anyone can do black music. But back to Bruno Mars's recent records that have been the forefront of what's happening currently now in his music. He released a record with Lady Gaga, Died with a Smile. It was a number 1 hit for him in the United States. And this was more of a pop, soul, pop rock, pop country record for him. While it's not necessarily something brand new for Bruno Mars, but it's very unique as in he's not really known for collaborating with women, especially powerful women like Lady Gaga in the industry. So this was a very interesting move for him and a beautiful song. I can admit it. This song is good. Then he released Epithet with Rosie from Blackpink. If you know the girl group, you know who I'm talking about. This record was big too for Bruno Mars. This was a top 10 hit. It hit number 3 on the US Hot 100. This was something unique for Bruno Mars too, as he never dabbled into any Asian cultures. Mind you, he is part Filipino. So this is a K-pop record for most people, even though I would consider this K-pop and pop, like, American pop, because it's intertwined. But I guess that's why people put K and then pop, but I disagree because when they put K-pop, they mean Korean pop. But you all know what I'm trying to say here. My point is that this was unique for Bruno Mars. It was more of a K-pop and pop rock influenced record. Am I a fan of this song? It's okay. It's a good song to hear from time to time. Is it my cup of tea? Not necessarily, but I'm not going to lie and say, oh, it's a bad song. Then there comes this song that is deplorable, but we're going to talk about it. So Bruno Mars made a song with Sexy Red, and it's called Fat, Juicy, and Wet. I believe that's the name. This song hit the US Hot 100 at number 17 and lasted on the US Hot 100 for only 7 weeks. In comparison to Die With a Smile and Epithet, this was the lowest ranking single out of the 3 and the lowest to last on the charts. As you can see, him being a part of a cosplay of hip-hop music, it didn't work for him this go around, as people were turned off by this, including myself. Sexy Red, she tends to be ratchet. She tends to be unapologetically herself. That is okay. That's not bad. But the issue is when you're making a record with a Bruno Mars who essentially is labeled as a controversial, you would expect her to dim it down a bit. For someone who tends to try to stay classy, not get too controversial when it comes to his imagery, you would have expected him to tell Sexy Red's team and both parties that, hey, you need to dim it down a bit on your raunchiness on this record because it may affect my brand. But obviously, he didn't care. I feel like he probably thought the record was going to do maybe bigger numbers. Or probably he just did because of the publicity. And people were criticizing this song very heavy at the time when it came out. So probably he knew this was going to bring some controversy for him. And he got it. Julie and Steve, take 3. Writer Fisher Jack of the Earweb wrote a piece on the criticism that Bruno Mars has been receiving. He states, with the release of I Just Might, critics are once again questioning his creative direction. The song leans heavily on 70s funk, disco, and soul, genres steeped in Black history. Some users on X labeled it as egregious Black caricature snob and accused Mars of coasting on nostalgia. This is valid criticism. As I've stated earlier, Bruno Mars tends to be a controversial. This is not the first time I have talked about this on my channel. I made a video about that a couple of years ago. I promise we're going to revisit that specific video in a few moments. Give me a second. This is public. Numerous people have been constructively criticizing Bruno Mars. Now, do I believe certain people were harsh on the criticism? I honestly do not think so, in my unbiased opinion, because I feel like Bruno Mars is at a comfortable point in his career where he doesn't want to try something different. and they'll focus on his own cultural background. Sure, that has to do with the people he collaborates with, that has to do with Black people as a whole accepting Bruno Mars culturally appropriating Black cultures, especially Black American cultures. Because if we're going to be transparent, he's mainly targeting Black American cultures whenever he makes his music, wherever he makes his music videos, wherever he tries to put on a persona when he's accepting an award, dressing, going on interviews, and so on. Months before the release of I Just Might, writer Harrison Mooney made a constructive piece on Bruno Mars. He states, "This brings us at last to Fat, Juicy, and Wet, the genuinely filthy January 2025 strip club anthem Mars released alongside Pound Town rapper Sexy Red. In a sense, Mars returned to his roots with this one, circling back to Black music after successful forays into markets that actual Black artists struggle to access." We talked about this record earlier on in the video, but as you can tell, Mr. Mooney and I have a similar opinion about this direction that Bruno Mars was trying to come back to when it comes to his appropriation. And I even forgot that I believe he was featured in Young, Wild, and Free. And that was a song with Wiz Khalifa and Snoop Dogg, I believe, right? It's that record. That is pretty similar to Fat, Juicy, and Wet. Only difference is that it's not as vulgar as that record, but it's very similar. And of course, some people will say Young, Wild, and Free has more substance than Fat, Juicy, and Wet. It's very similar, like trying to get a club banger back in there when it comes to a Bruno Mars record. So what the writer said is so spot on. It made me thought about that for that moment. And that's not the only song. I think he has another song too that's very Rauchy. I just forgot the name of it because I don't be keeping track of Bruno Mars like that. So I don't remember. I forgot the name of the song. The other song I'm thinking about. Is it Bubble Butt or something like that? Yo. I want to read another quote from Mr. Mooney. He states, "It's a misstep. Mars does a serviceable job of matching the tonality and cadence of his hip hop counterpart, but in doing so, code switching harder than just about anyone I've ever seen. He draws attention to the artifice that powers his success." I appreciate this article so much. The writer was very transparent about how Bruno Mars was trying his hardest to imitate Sexy Red's freakiness, knowing damn well he's not above that lifestyle. But to match Sexy Red's freak, he had to live up to her stance. While that's not necessarily bad, of course, there are times you're going to have to match your collaborator's energy. But if you have to desensitize the way you portray yourself, especially in your own music, it it doesn't come off as genuine, in my opinion. If he was a Black and or mixed with Black person, I wouldn't care necessarily of him trying to match Sexy Red's freak. But since he is not, it doesn't come off genuinely. I do not like Balconies, Manetti's, Azura, and Benito Antonio Martinez Ocasio. However, one thing I can admit about these two individuals is that they try to some extent incorporate their heritages into their music. Specifically, Balconies' Dominican heritage, and Bad Bunny's Puerto Rican heritage. These two incorporate their Dominican and Puerto Rican heritages for the most part in their music. Sure, the both of them do dabble into the African parts of their cultures. That is a fact. We already know this, especially if you've been on my channel and you watched a couple of my videos before. This is not something new. However, I do believe that these two know how to put their heritages on the forefront and not always at the back end in comparison to Bruno Mars. As Bruno Mars tries his hardest to not make us know that his actual name is Peter Jean Hernandez. If you didn't know, Bruno Mars's mom was Filipina and English, whereas Bruno Mars's dad, he was Ashkenazi Jewish and Puerto Rican, hence his last name being Hernandez. But you wouldn't know that based on the music he's extremely inspired by and showcases through his music time and time again. With him collaborating with Cardi B, Balconies, at one moment, he could have maybe learned from her about embracing his Latin roots and put it more into his music. Same thing with Bad Bunny. I'm pretty sure he has some form of connection to him going through Cardi B and or a different artist within the Latino community, because Latinos, they would embrace him, especially with him being so talented and all the accolades he has received. So why don't you use your resources? Maybe because you're too comfortable, you don't want to challenge yourself, Peter Jean Hernandez. Julian Steve, take 4. 4 years ago, I made a video titled Bruno Mars, the Talented Controversial. Now, this video, for the most part, was received well, but of course, there were a couple of people nitpicking certain things about the video. Some people were saying that I'm being racist because I'm telling someone who has multiple ethnicities, multiple races, to be showcasing more of that in their music, especially because this person is a non-black artist who should be embracing his non-black heritages. I'm not saying he cannot embrace black music since he's inspired by it, but it does become repetitive. That's all I'm saying. But people had an issue with me pointing this out and being very sensitive to be transparent. Then there were people saying that, I could be speaking faster, my delivery is not there, which fair criticism, because at the time, I'm not sure if the video was released in 2021 or 2022, but if it was released in 2021, I was in college, I was very stressed. I was doing YouTube and college. That's not easy. I was even in the club. I was working too. And remember, there was a pandemic. I think people keep forgetting about that. And if it was in 2022, I started off my corporate journey in the workforce, and that wasn't an easy time for me either. So I'm trying to be consistent, releasing videos on the weekly basis, because I believe I released this video a week after I released the video prior. So that means I didn't really have a proper break to chill. Oh wait, I forgot. Super fans of Bruno Mars do not care about that, which is why I didn't make the video necessarily for you. I made it for people who are willing to hear constructive criticism and or people who are a fan of Bruno Mars's music but are also tired of the repetition going on in his sound.
Wait, one person at a time. Go ahead, Serena. You had your hand up.
Okay, I hate Bruno Mars. Everybody knows that I fucking hate Bruno Mars. Like, if Bruno Mars died tomorrow, I would bake a fucking cake. Like, I hate this guy. The reason why I fucking hate Bruno Mars is because, like, yes, Bruno Mars 100% is a cultural appropriator. He is racially ambiguous. He is not black at all, and he plays up his racial ambiguity to be able to do what Jameer says, cross genres and go into different places. And you guys are bringing up Michael Jackson. Number one, me personally, like, I don't even think that Michael Jackson now in this day and age will be able to get to the point that he got to previously.
Facts.
And a huge part of that is because people have realized that they prefer their black music and their black culture from a non-black face.
Absolutely.
And you have, so I'm talking, so you can because I'm talking right now. And in a lot of different ways, and in a lot of different ways, we have artists now that are much more willing to step into quote unquote black genres that were not willing to do it when, like, they didn't want to do it. They didn't want to be in black music. Black music was seen a certain type of way. We've reached a point now where hip hop recently surpassed rock and roll as the most listened to genre in the United States. Black American culture has reached a certain point in this time period that it was not at when Michael Jackson was popping. Like, people had to campaign to get Michael Jackson's videos played on MTV. We are not in that same time period right now, so that's even a false equivalency to even try to bring up Michael Jackson's career and compare that to Bruno Mars. And I also want to say that Bruno Mars is not an original artist in the same way that Michael Jackson was an original artist, in the same way that Prince was an original artist. What Bruno Mars does is he takes pre-existing work and he just completely, word for word, recreates it, extrapolates it. He does not change it. He does not improve upon it. He does not make it better. He's a karaoke singer. He's a wedding singer. He's the person you hire to do Michael Jackson and Prince covers. Yet Bruno Mars has an Album of the Year Grammy and Prince never won an Album of the Year Grammy. So how are you gonna say? So how are you gonna say people that are originators in the funk genre, that are originators in the R&B, the New Jack Swing? Bobby Brown and New Edition don't have no Album of the Year Grammy. Bruno Mars got that Grammy because white people love him because he's not black. Period. The issue is we want our black culture from non-black bodies, and Bruno Mars is like, I'll give it to you.
Facts.
Julie and Steve take 5. Concluding statement and the outro of this video. I am hoping for a shift when it comes to Bruno Mars's next album. I'm saying this as the romantic is already finished, meaning that Bruno Mars probably is going to go the pop but mostly R&B side of his discography journey. And if we're lucky, we might get a hint of hip hop and rap. Maybe one day Bruno Mars showcases his Asian, Jewish, and Latino heritages. Maybe one day. I might be asking for a lot, but maybe one day that will happen. But until then, I'm not impressed. Thank you so much if you made it this far in this video. I appreciate you. Be sure to like this video, comment, share, subscribe, and hype up this video. Yes, hype up this video. Please and thank you. I would appreciate it. Tell me, what do you think about Bruno Mars? I'm warning you, if you're a super fan, I might block you and or delete your comments or do both. I'm willing to hear open remarks as long as you're not being a troll. Okay, mi gente? Okay, mi gente? Okay. Thank you and peace, mi gente.